Teach a man to fish. The necessity of a capabilities-based approach. Official Poverty Measurement, OPM. The official poverty measurement used by the United States consists of a set of thresholds for families of different sizes that are compared to before tax cash income to determine a family's poverty status. This can be found in Short 1. The thresholds are based on the 1960s Economy Food Plan. This Economy Food Plan budget was established in 1960s, in which 1/3 of a family's income times 3 for a family of 3 would suffice as the line of poverty income. The OPM for welfare. In order to see if you qualify for welfare, the OPM is measured to see if you are under the poverty line. Resources. The resources that are calculated includes your gross annual pre-tax income per household of 3. This does not include assets, taxes, non-discretionary expenses, or benefits. Taxes for the gross annual pre-tax income are excluded, along with the non-discretionary expenses such as commute or healthcare issues. Now the threshold. The threshold, like I mentioned before, consists of the Thrifty Food Basket times 3. This calculates a consumer price index, which can lead to inflation when actually calculating how much a geographical location costs. The cons of the OPM. So some of the cons of the OPM include establishment of a false sense of binary. There is no actual measurement of the depth on how close someone was to being counted in the statistics of poverty to not being included. In addition to that, there has been no update to the poverty threshold based on the changing levels and standards of living. This doesn't account for the expenses while earning income, which may be your commute, the price variation across geography, which includes like New York to a rural area in Wisconsin, medical costs for chronic diseases, changes in household makeup, and government assistance. Another form of poverty measurement is a supplemental poverty measurement, the SPM. The SPM has many cons and many pros that help fix and address some of the issues with the OPM, but also raises new issues. Some of the pros for the SPM is it includes relative expenditures. This includes the commute that was not measured before, chronic healthcare issues. It also addresses the lack of line placement for the accurate living standards. Some of the cons of the SPM is it's still considered a binary measurement because it still doesn't measure the depth of how much money someone needed to reach the poverty line or how much money they barely made across. But one thing the SPM does contribute to that raises the amount of money needed to be considered under the poverty line is by addressing a 33% plus a 1.2% to address the measurement of the poverty line. That is to say, it adds enough for flexibility and a better standard of quality of living. These are the references. Now, the importance of reform. Why both of these ways of measurement are inadequate or actually measuring the appropriate population or capabilities of people. So there are different poverty definitions. John Iceland presents our economic or income deprivation. Robert Rector addresses the deprivation of the most essential needs. And Dorothy Allison, the lack of enough for inclusion in society. For John Iceland, when he talks about economic or income deprivation, he focuses on income loneliness, not making enough to be able to function in society. While Robert Rector believes that if you have enough food, shelter, clothing, and utilities, you should be okay. While Dorothy Allison addresses poverty as a form of social exclusion, dividing the people in between the we and the they or them. Now, who? Who is affected by poverty? In the United States, as of 2006, 12.3% of people were found in poverty. The graph represented here shows the age groups of the people affected in poverty. Overall, you can see that only 12.3% of people were affected in 2006. Children had one of the highest share of the poor, second to the age group of 18 through 65, and the elders in last place. One thing that should be accounted for is the poverty rate in children is much higher than both in elders and the age group, and even higher of the overall percentage. This statistic representation in the chart does not include the racial, geographic, and other elements such as education in the statistics of poverty. Now, our poverty measurement goals. Using the combination of all the things we have learned and understood, we also included other essential elements to measuring poverty. Our definition of poverty would consist of the deprivation of the material resources and capabilities necessary to lead a dignified life. Now, what are capabilities and functionings? Capabilities and functionality. Capabilities, the total set of possible things that a person can be or do, versus functionality, the current things that a person can be or do. These two things overlap within each other, but one is necessary to be able to do the other. Now, understanding capabilities. According to Nussbaum, there are 10 essential capabilities: bodily health, bodily integrity, imagination, emotions, practical reason, affiliation, other species, play, and control over one's environment. Let me elaborate on some of the key points in my opinion. Bodily health is being able to have all your bodily needs met. That means that you have enough money to be able to take care of your health issues or be able to have regular physical checkups, and it also does include mental health. Imagination, being able to think outside the box, being able to think with reason and being able to think creatively. Affiliation, being able to talk with others, have a significant bond. Practical reasoning, still being able to use logic to come to a conclusion. Now, understanding these capabilities, these 10 capabilities are essential in Nussbaum's list. These capabilities all allow us to function completely in society. Now, the definition of poverty, like I mentioned before, constituting of capabilities and functionings, your usage of your capabilities that you have can affect the way you function. To give an example of from Nussbaum's list, for example, someone who is not allowed to practice law but has a law degree can be seen as someone who has the capability but not the functioning, whether it be social, economic, or political, that impedes them from actually carrying out this set of things. Another issue that could, example that could work this out in regards to practical reason is time. Talking with someone and you say good afternoon when it's 3 p.m. in the afternoon is still a reasonable assumption. But if you said good morning and it's 10 at night, you can see the overlap that things aren't going just as smoothly. Now, back to how we started, teach a man to fish. The combination we talked about using not only internal and external capabilities, and by internal capabilities, the definition was not in the previous slides, but to verbalize it, internal capabilities is the ability to do something, having the necessary tools, while combined capabilities is having both the political, economical, and social capability to be able to carry out these things. Now, in regards to how addressing poverty, fixing poverty, or just being able to resolve the issue, there is distinct approaches to this solution. Now, our combination is more holistic. Now, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. But in this instant, the combination of assistance, which would be giving the man a fish, would allow him to gain the strength to be able to reach his capability to be able to fish and learn how to fish. Now, in a more broader sense, the monetary assistance given, such as TANF or SNAPS, EBT, and all those other resources, would allow a family to use the other allocated funds to be able to work on other capabilities and improve their functionality. Our approach of a holistic measurement constitutes with both the OPM and SPM not providing an accurate measurement. The OPM's lack of geographical inclusion, relative expenditures, and other materials such as assets creating inaccurate measurement does not allow it to create a holistic measurement of a person. While the SBM, although it does count for some relative expenditures, it doesn't allow us to see a clear line on who still qualifies for government assistance, because it is still taking into account the government assistance. Now, capabilities. We have both internal capabilities and combined capabilities. Internal capability is is the idea that the person has the capabilities but lacks the social, economical, and or political power to exercise them. For combined capabilities, this person has the social, economical, and political power or capability to apply these capabilities. An example of these capabilities is being able to go to school, like mentioned before, and actually practicing. Now, sometimes people do not have both these capabilities, the social, economical, and or political power to exercise, which makes them unable to properly function in that role. Now, to bring it all back to the center idea of teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime, the combination and holistic approach would allow us to see the poverty measurement and those who are currently in poverty as more than just someone who is in poverty. But we have to also recall that this person, other assets may be contributed to a time before they were even in poverty. They could be suffering from chronic poverty, and that many approaches have affected this person's life. Now, being able to create an adequate measurement would allow us to try and form a placement and end the binary, address the geographical changes, the changes in expenditures, and be able to create a threshold that works for at least the local area and apply it to all. So teach a man to fish. We're excited